Okay, all. Thank you again for joining the data science seminar series of CMI. Today, our guest is Mausam. Uh, he is the founder of Spottle.ai, and before that, he worked in Dulup Technologies, and uh, Mosam and I actually worked together in SATS for about 3 years before that. So we know each other for a long time. And he's also teaching this semester. He's teaching financial modeling with Python in CMI, mostly for our data science students, but there are some students from other programs also. So today he is going to talk about deep learning algorithms for natural language processing and its application. So Mosam, it's to you.
Thanks, Sorish, and thanks, CMI, for inviting me. It is my pleasure to present few works that I have done using in the data science or machine learning, whatever you can say. Okay, so last few years I have done few work. I built few products, few system based on that natural language processing. And first, when I heard the term natural language processing, when I was in IIT Kharagpur, I think in 2001 or 2000, in between 2001 and 2003. So I thought that natural language processing is one thing that the least thing that I'll work because of that language is involved in this. Because I'm not comfortable with that languages except that programming languages. But what happened last 4 years, almost 4 or 5 years, most of the work uh, I have done in the field of data machine learning is related to natural language processing. Okay, so in brief, I built few product based on that medical encoding that will automated that clinical research, some part of the clinical research in previous company Dulup, and I have built one recommendation system for that jobs and that candidates profile based on the job description and the candidates profile in the Spottle. So I'll just describe these two, whatever I have implemented in these two framework. In clinical research framework and edutech framework, I'll just going to explain in next half an hour, 45 minutes. After that, I think the next 15-20 minutes, let's keep for that question and that answer. Okay, so one thing that I have understood while working on that statistical modeling, or especially in that machine learning, that clustering algorithms or classification algorithms, basically what we are trying to do, we try to do find the similarity basically. If it is if we are trying to find that similarities and group them based on the similarity, that is called that clustering. And if you try to find out that a new object, how it is similar to that object belongs to a particular class, then it is a classification problem. And there are multiple algorithms for the classification problem, we know, starting from that logistic regression, linear discriminant analysis, quadratic discriminant analysis, support vector machine, or neural network, or any other. There are a lot of. But main thing is that we are trying to find out that similarities basically between that objects. Now, so similarity basically, whatever I have work I have done, that I'll going to explain. That main thing is that finding that similarity. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about that similarity, we need some context, right? So just I'm giving one example how that context is giving. When the contexts are different, then how we compute that similarity in different way. So this is my son Atmik's, my son, I think when he was 2 years or 3 years old, his birthday snaps. And she's my daughter. I think whatever the situation I'm going to tell, most of you has, some of you already faced who has that kids. So we have two children, Atmik and Atmoja. Now, after they are born, especially last, not last, especially the next 2-3 years. So when somebody from my family see them, they try to find out how they're similar to me. And when somebody from my wife's family, Sudeshna's family, they try to find out that how they are similar to my wife. Okay, now I have a logic for that, and that is when they try to find out that similarity. Now, I'm, for example, when my Atmik, my son was 2 years old, that time I was around 30 years. So nobody will remember that how I was looking for 30 or 25 years ago. So basically, when they see something from that Atmik's face that is similar to my face, they consider only that context. There might be another context which is not similar to Atmik, is not similar to me. So similarly from the Atmoja, so when my family, they have seen me in my childhood, and even my wife's family, they have seen my wife, the childhood of my wife. So they can relate. So my family will not be able to relate that how Sudeshna, my wife, was at the age of 5. So they are not able to match the context. I am not sure whether Atmik is looking like me or Atmoja was looking like me at that. But this is one thing that I have observed, and my explanation is that when my family is looking into Atmoja or Atmik, they are trying to find out that similarity, and they consider that points only for finding that similarity, and they say that okay, the Atmoja is looking like Mausam or Atmik is looking like Mausam, something like this. So whenever we're talking about the similarity, then the context is very important. That at what context we are talking about. And basically in statistics, the context we define by the independent, whatever we call that exogenous variable or the independent variable. And in machine learning setup, the same thing we talk about the features, but these are nothing but that exogenous variables. So choosing the right context is that important. I'm not sure whether you will find any similarity between Atmoja and Atmik with me or my wife, but this is me and my wife. So you can just find out whether they are similar to me or they are similar to Sudeshna. But main thing is that context, that whenever my family, that my mother or father, they are looking into Atmik or Atmoja, they are only considering that fact that is similar to me because they know my childhood. They are not able to project my childhood after 25 years, but looking into Atmik or Atmoja, they can just find out that, okay, maybe that nose is, Atmik's nose is like Mosum's nose. Sudeshna nose is, I think everybody said it is better than me, but Atmik's nose and my nose are similar. So that is why Atmik is looking like me. Maybe there is another 20 features that is not matching, but since one is matching or two is matching, or they are considering that whatever is matching, they are considering that, okay, these are the features for that comparison. Okay, so context is an important part for that finding that similarity. Okay, now let's start with some work that I have done few years back when I was in Duluth, and it is in the clinical research. You know that when we are talking about the clinical research, that means when a new drug is applied to the different patients, so they have to come to that center and they have to note down that whether they have some headache or they have some allergies, they have some fever or not. These are called that adverse event. So doctor usually write down in the note or that EDC system. EDC is the electronic data capture system that is mostly used nowadays. That what happened after taking that new drug. So doctor may write something that some paragraph, and the paragraph contain that the patient is suffering from high fever, maybe after taking that medicine. Now, when we are analyzing that adverse event, so adverse event is one main aspect of drug development or that clinical research, because you should know that what is that worst thing that's going to happen after taking that medicine. So there are many analyses based on that AI or the AE or adverse event, but basic thing is that from the patient record data or that the text data, we need to find out that what is the adverse event happened, and we have to quantify, like high fever is happened occurred how many times, or for how many patients, and how many times, and what is the length of that fever, etc. So many statistics related to some adverse event that we need to capture from the text. Now, first, if you have to do some automation, like high fever. Now, first thing we have to understand that this is an adverse event or not. For a computer suffering from high fever, all are separate words. They don't know, computer doesn't know that high fever is a medical term or not. So first problem is that from the paragraph, you have to find out that what are the adverse events in this paragraph. Then there is another problem, like in some, okay, so there are multiple, usually that clinical trials happen in multiple locations, and the multiple doctors are involved in that process. So some doctors may write head in pain, somebody may write head pain, or somebody write headache. Now, if you have different head pain in head pain, or headache, so all are, I'm assuming that adverse event. Now, the problem is that there are three different words, right? Now, suppose the number of patients suffering from pain in head, or head pain, or headache should accumulate. We should accumulate the total numbers. Otherwise, the total number related to head pain or headache, whatever we say, will be less. It will be distributed over the different words, similar words. That is why usually that all the regulatories, we know that that medical drug development should go, the drug development process goes through that rigorous regulatory system. So regulators, they published one dictionary, or there are few dictionary. One is called that medical dictionary for regulatory activities, MEDRA. So I used MEDRA dictionary. So MEDRA dictionary has that the final words that you should consider. For example, pain in head, or head pain, or headache. In this case, headache is that medical dictionary. So if in some report, if some doctor written that pain in head, or head, that patient is feeling pain in head, or he has written that there is some observations that there's some kind of a head pain after taking this medicine. So we have to convert that all that similar word that we understand from that English perspective, or maybe that medical perspective, to a predefined word, medical word, and that is headache. So we have two problems in this case. We have, one is called the entity recognition problem. So whether form word is a adverse event, or suffering is an adverse event, or high fever is an adverse event, that we have to understand from that context. And second is that the high fever, for example, high fever, the fever has another name called pyrexia, or hyperthermia. So some doctor may write a high fever, or high fever. Sometimes some doctor say that it is a hyperthermia. So we have to convert that all that similar medical entities to the target medical entities that is defined by that regularity. Okay, now how we can understand that it is a medical entity or not? Okay, obviously a medical practitioner can understand. We can understand a few, but we will not be able to understand all that medical entities if you don't know. So in that case, we have to train that model. And this problem is called entity recognition problem in natural language processing. Entity recognition problems. So how we can recognize is a particular entity. It is very similar to that pause tagging. In the pause tagging, what we are doing in the natural language processing, we are for each word we are giving this. It is a noun or pronoun, or it is a noun phrase or verb or adjective, etc. So there may be many subdivision of that each group. For noun, it may be noun or proper noun, something like this. So similarly, the pause tagging, similar to the pause tagging, that entity recognition. So this is a custom entity. Suppose I want to define a new entity called adverse event entity. So we have to train that model in such a way that whenever the system read a paragraph, it will be able to say that what are the adverse events are there in that paragraph. So in the entity recognition problem, there is many methods. One is based on the statistical method called conditional random field, CRF, or you can use the deep learning also. So I'm not going to explain that all that learning methods in this session. I'm just telling that problem that it is a entity recognition problem, and we can solve this problem using any of the either statistical modeling or machine learning model using the proper annotation. So what annotation is one thing that is the input for that any algorithms or any models. For that, what is annotation? Annotation is that I have to annotate like suffering, what type of word it is, from what type of word it is. For high fever, we have to annotate that it is a new entity. Say I'm defining that our new entity is AE, so adverse event. So I'm just annotating this is AE. Now what system will learn? So he will from that, okay, how the sentence is forming where there is evidence of adverse event. Suppose there are many words. I'm just having giving some example. One example is suffering from high fever, suffering from headache, suffering from pain. So suffering from, it gives the context to the system that, okay, if something, some sentence, it is something suffering from, then the next word or next combination of the word is a entity. Okay, so the way we are annotating, and so suffering, I'm annotating suffering, what type of word it is, from what type of word it is. Then high fever, I'm just annotating it is a new entity. So system will know that how the sentence is forming, and the system will try to. So if the new sentence, if you give a new sentence that is, for example, the suffering from say some pain, suffering from pain. So now system will recognize that, okay, the sentence formation is something like in the training data set, we have suffering from high fever, suffering from headache. So suffering from pain, it is very similar to the sentence formation of the training data where high fever was that adverse event, pain was the adverse, headache was the adverse event. So pain should be a adverse event. So it will recognize pain as an adverse event, although it was not in the training data. So if we have say lots of training data and different, we have different sentence formation for the defining a adverse event. So it will capture some from that. But second problem is that So pain is head is one word, head pain is another word, and headache is another word. So how we can map to a that what about the target, that headache? So in that case, we used say fuzzy matching between the two words. So basically, it was the sequence matching of the word, and from there we try to find out that whether it is matching with the target word or not. So I know that all that targets words in that Medra dictionary or that any other dictionary published by the regulatories. So I know the target, so I just matching with that head in pain is matching with something or not. Okay, and also, but the main problem is that pain in head and headache, the two words or the string, basically it is a string matching algorithm. It's so far that matching results is very less, that similarity is very less. So in that case, so we have to use some other way that I'll going to explain later. And another example I'm just giving. Many times we write Hep B, but the word is that hepatitis B. So how we can find out that Hep B is the hepatitis B? So for such to handle this type of situation, I have not used any model for that. What we have used, I just, if you write down Hep B, if you write down Hep B in that Google and write down wiki, then you will get the page related to hepatitis B. So when I observed this, I just used that power of the Wikipedia. So there is some Python library for the Wikipedia. If you give some string, it will give that list of few pages, say 10 pages with that ranks and etc. So to tackle this type of problem that Hep B is hepatitis B, if we can check that if you give Hep B, if you write Hep B and wiki in the Google, that wiki page, first wiki page it is coming is hepatitis B. So we leverage that power of that Wikipedia to tackle such type of problem. Although there is no mathematical model or any machine learning model that we applied, we just use that power of that Wikipedia or Google context search. Okay. Now I'm just coming to the later that how we are solving that problem, pain in head or head pain or headache. I'll conclude this in the later. Before that, this is one example. So whenever we are doing any analysis, we have the data in this format, row column format. For example, this is one example of that iris data. We have the target variable species, sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, and we have some numeric value measures of that, and that is in the numeric. So if you want to do that some cluster analysis, we remove that. We don't consider species in that model. We just consider other 4 variables, and we perform the k-mean clustering. If you want to build some classifier, then we use that species is a target variable and other 4 variables as a independent variables or the features, and we build that classification model. But whenever we have some text, how we can use the text into the classification or clustering or finding that similarity? So finding the similarity is nothing but, if you consider in the previous example, so this is corresponding object 1 and this is corresponding object 2. So I can consider that this is one vector that defines object 1. This is that another vector that defines object 2. So I'm trying to find out any similarity measures or distance measure between these two. That is my knowledge that I have acquired learning through MSc statistics or MTech. That if you have 2 vectors, then I can find out the similarities or dissimilarities or the distance. But for the text, how it is possible? Suppose somebody has given me that, okay, find out these two paragraphs looks very similar, but how similar it is? Should I consider that? Suppose I have already in the target template, suppose I have this paragraph, and this is a new paragraph. Whenever I have seen, can I say that, okay, don't use that new paragraph, it is very similar to the old paragraph, so use that old paragraph in your reporting. So this is another problem that we built one product on that medical reporting, that every company has thousands and thousands of the reporting, and each size of that each report is at least 3 to 4,000 pages. So can we build a standard template on that based on different section, subsection? Can we build a standard template on that? So we have around, say, 5,000 similar to this paragraph. So can we build a standard template for this paragraph? So basically, it is the beginning of this creating the template is nothing but the finding that similar paragraphs. Then we can find out that what should be the target paragraph for that, or which one is most occur in that group that we can consider as an automated template for this paragraph. If you want to override this manually, we can override later. So suppose I have 1,000 similar paragraph, and I'm just so I am able to do some way, some clustering. I able to perform some clustering analysis on this say 1,000 paragraph. Now I'm able to, and it is also gives that which paragraphs, maybe in some many reports has that exactly same thing in say 20 papers, and this is this occurs say 10 reports or 10 papers. So this occurs most of the time. So I'm considering this is a template for this paragraph. But this is not the single template. There might be another 200 paragraphs in the template. So first we have to find out that these two are very similar. What are the very similar paragraphs in that section? So from there we can just find out that for this paragraph, this is the template or that standard template for that. So now how we can do that? I know only that whatever we have learned in that MSc, BSc, MSc or MTech, that is, if you have some variables and some numbers, then I can perform k-mean clustering, but I'm not able to do anything on the text. So next question is that, can I convert that entire paragraph into a vector, numeric vector or not? If you can do that, then it is in my syllabus. If you can convert that entire paragraph into some vector, all the paragraphs into some vector, respective vectors, numeric vectors, then it is in my syllabus. The text is not in my syllabus. So for that, there are few methods. I'm just going to explain one method called word embedding. So what is word embedding? Let me check the time one. Okay. So word embedding is, for example, I have a sentence of say 20 words. So what we can do, the simple way, we can create a vector of 20 words. Suppose that we can order that all that words say in ascending order. Which one is that come first? I can make that first position of that word is or the vector is 1 and other side 0. That is called the hot encoding. Now we have 20 vectors, and we have for each word is represented in the 20 vectors. So for each word there is one position is 1 and others are 0. That means all are perpendiculars. So we can think of that all 20 words are 20 dimension. Now next is that, can I reduce the dimension? Let's reduce the dimension to 2 dimension, for example, and we'll reduce the dimension in such a way, or we'll embed that all that words in a 2 dimension in such a way, what are the similar words that will come together? That is the principle of word embedding. So reducing from 1000, for example, if you are taking Ramayana as a number of as a context. So in that case, in the Ramayana, you can just imagine how many words are there. Maybe few lakhs, the distinct words. Now, I have to, in word embedding, we have to embed all that distinct word in such a way so that Ram and Sita in the new system, they are close. Close means the distance. So I'm just, what I'm doing, I'm trying to, it is basically, we can say it is unsupervised learning also, but it is basically it is a supervised learning, but it is starting with that unsupervised learning. So I'm just embedding in the lower dimension, and logic of embedding is that similar words will come together. So what will be the benefit on that? Suppose I have thousands of reports, okay, in that some therapeutic area, and for example, after taking this medicine, somebody has written in that within the 10 words, the medicine name, which is I'm going to develop, I'm performing that clinical trials. And after that, within that, say some 5 or 10, within the 10 words, the head pain is there, headache is there. And for example, pain in head, these words are there. Along with that, the drug name, after taking this medicine, the name of the medicine. Now, as I said, the context is an important thing in that machine learning, that what context I'm looking. So I'm looking that headache or head pain in a context to that medicine related to context. The context is defined by that medicine. Now, if we have enough reports on that, then we'll see that head in pain or headache, these are words are coming very closely. Their position in that new embedded system are very close. Their cosine distance or that Euclidean distance is less compared to the other words. So whatever I was trying to solve through that sequence of the words, that whether head in pain or head pain, that these two words may give a very good results for that word sequencing, measure between two words or two strings. But pain in head and headache, that matching is very less, although words are very similar. But if you are able to train with that enough number of reports, then we'll see that headache or head in pain or head pain, they are very close words. So in that case, if my target is that headache, so I have built that new model based on the reports, the clinical reports, that is whatever I have that is published since last say 20 years. I used all that reports, and I, instead of whatever that Ramayana I said, to build a new model, new word embedding model, I used that all that medical reports to create a new word embedding model. In that case, in that situation, or after this model, I may get that pain in head and headaches are very similar in that context. Okay. So let's tell few words on this. So one is that very classical example, and that copybook example, that the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And if my target word is the fox, and quick brown fox jumps and over. So I'm creating a window of 5. So these are the words that define the fox, right? So I'll try to build that model in such a way. I'll try to build that, say, neural network architecture in such a way that for this any input of this hot encoding of quick brown fox Jupiter or over, the output will be very similar to the fox. What about the encoding, hot encoding for the word fox? Then we, and I just move that window by one by one by one. So in that case, so if you are able to if you have enough number of training data, then we'll be able to build something. So let's give some example to understand that encoding. So I have 2 words, 2 sentences, and I just remove all that verb and that stopping words, punctuation. Then I have 2 strings basically: king, brave man; queen, beautiful woman. So I'm just window for window size 1. So king is the word, neighborhood is the brave. For the brave, I have 2 neighborhoods, king and man, if you consider only one window. Similarly, queen, then beautiful. For the beautiful, I have 2 neighbor, queen and woman has 1 neighbor called beautiful. If you consider 2 window, then I have king. King has 2, brave and man. Similarly, brave has in the left side is the king and the right side is the man. So king, man, and man has king, brave. Both are in the left hand side. Similarly, for the queen, beautiful woman. So this is just for that. Just for that, giving one a simple example to how we are representing, how we are creating that window, and after creating the window, what is that neighbors? It is just to explain. So if you do that here, encoding on that, so how many words we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a vector of the 6. King is the first word. If I scan to the left, then king is the first word. So in the first word, I make 1, others are 0. Similarly, for the brave, brave is the second word. There may be another way to encoding. We can just sort all that word and ascending or descending order, then we can do that encoding also. Okay, now these are the encoding for all that word. And now when the king is the say training data and brave is my target data. So I try to, in the new system, I try to match in such a way that position of the king. So suppose I'm creating from the 6 cross vector, I'm trying to create a 2 cross 1 vector finally. So in the 2 cross 1 vector, since king and brave are coming together in the sentence, so each define each other. So their position should be in the 2 dimension. Their coordinates should be very closely. Their coordinates should be very close. Okay. Now, let me share my window desktop, enter desktop. Okay, I'll just there is a predefined. There are many predefined model. One of the model that Google published is based on that word-to-vec model. Similarly, Facebook has the similar model, but name is the fast text. So Google has one word-to-vec model, and they have built they published one predefined library, trained library called Google News Vector 300.bin. So they have built this model with that, I think, 3 million Google News data, and they embed it into three-dimensional space. So it will take little time to load this model. It is almost 3 GB in size. So let's discuss something in between. Okay. Now, suppose I'm able to find out some coordinate for the each word. Now so either in this example, that head in pain or head pain or headache, if their coordinates are very close, the coordinates are very close or to the target variable headache, then just using just simple comparison, I can find that pain in head is nothing but headache, which is in the regulatory dictionary. So I can replace that headache, pain in head. Okay. And okay. Now in this case, so till if I try to find out the similarity between two paragraphs, still I'm not still it is out of my syllabus because I don't know what is the coordinate of the sentence, but I know only that coordinate of the event. So I have trained of say 20,000 or 50,000 reports using that reports. Now I have embedding. I know that what is that coordinate of the adverse, what is the coordinate of that event, what is the coordinate of that serious data collected, etc., that I know. Because now there is one method I'm not, we don't have much time to explain that we can extend that word embedding to the sentence embedding or paragraph embedding. More or less the principle underlying model is that whatever that word embedding, either word-to-vec or send-to-vec, or Stanford has another model called the GLOBE, or classical TF-IDF, whatever we use. So we can extend word embedding to the sentence embedding or the paragraph embedding. Now, if you know that coordinate system of a paragraph, then I can formulate my problem in this format, our known format, the table. I have some rows, all the paragraphs are in the rows, and our coordinate system in the columns. Now I know that what to do, what we can do with this data. We can do K-mean clustering, we can do hierarchical clustering, we can do any other clustering, and I can find that similarity between two paragraphs. And recommendation system is nothing but finding that similarity. So in Spottle, we have the job recommendation system. So what is there? So what is the problem in the job recommendation system? The problem in the job recommendation system is that for example, there are many problems. One problem is finding the skills. So whatever the skills I have and what are the skills that is required, whether it is matching or not. That is the first basic problem. Second problem is that, okay, that we can find out. If you have the list of the skills, for example, I'm just considering only the data science. So I know that there might be maximum 100 skill. So from that, suppose you have uploaded some resume. So from that resume, I can find out that 100 skills, and from the job description, JD from say some company, and I can find out that all that skills, and I can we can put all that skills and I can find out the vector, the similarity between the two vectors, skill vectors. But there is a problem. For example, suppose the job description has the word analysis, but your resume has that you passed MSc statistics. So how to map that analysis or statistics or analyst or statistician? Because word similarity will not be able to, it will not give anything. Another example, like especially in the program, in some job JD that says that, okay, we need the candidate should have experience in Java. And somebody has written in that resume that, okay, I have worked 3 years work experience in J2EE. So in the using the skill has some hierarchy, right? So for the programming, you know the programming or not. So programming, we can think of a parent node. Then it has some Python programming, C++ programming, or Java programming. In the Python, whether you know that core Python or you know that, for example, Django or not, or Pandas or not. So if you know the Pandas, if you claim that I have experience working in Pandas or Django, so there is a job. He says that I need some experience in Python. You are applicable. Contextually, you are applicable because you know Pandas. Pandas is on library. So if you are very familiar with the Pandas, you know that I can assume you know Python also. Or if you work with that Django library, I'm assuming it can be assumed that you know Python very well. But opposite is not true. So it is not just word-to-word matching between or skill matching between that job description or that user skills. There is in between there is a hierarchy of the skills. So how we can build a skill for data science or Python programming or C++ programming or one or two job types, we can do it manually. But how we can automate it? That some jobs that I don't know. Even because one person may not know that all that domain knowledge of the different. So I don't know anything about the marketing or that advertisement.
Moshamda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll take another 2 minutes. Okay.
Take it. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
So whenever I'm matching that word skill matching between the job description and that whatever the skills written in the resume, so in between we have to build another tree of the skill tree or the matrix of the skills, so that since most of the times we say that machine learning analysis analyst, but a MSc student from with the statistics background, he usually writes statistics as a skill, but he is applicable for this job if it is a data analysis job, right? Or anything. If somebody know the time series, say that, okay, I know time series, but job description say, okay, you should have experience in forecasting. It should match. So for that, we have to build that one tree that we are trying to build, the tree of the skills or the hierarchy of the skills. and cloud of the skills. So it is not only the cloud, it is also hierarchy, because that opposite is not true. If somebody knows Python, it doesn't mean that he is expert in pandas or he is expert in Django. But he is expert in pandas or Django, we can assume that he is expert in the Python. So hierarchy is also required. So maybe in some other day, I'll explain how we are tackling this situation, how we are trying to build through that using that NLP. Initially, we start with the manual with some few jobs like data science, machine learning, or programming. But nowadays, we are trying to build automated the process using that NLP. So if it is done, so basically, I know that using the word embedding or TF-IDF or any other method, I know that how to convert a sentence to a vector, numeric vector. If you can find that vector of that job description, find the vector of that resume, then I can find out that similarity. But in between, there will be one matrix called the skill hierarchical matrix for this multiplication. Okay, that's all. I think I have taken a lot of time. So let's open the session for that question and then answers. I was trying to show some demo based on that what Google published in the word embedding model, Word2Vec, they called it Word2Vec. But later, if you have some time, I'll show you. So let's open for that QA session.
Thank you, Moshamda. It was definitely a very good session. So now the floor is open for discussion, questions and comments. Any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
So, how did you relate the
May I know
vector?
who is it?
Oshita.
Okay. Yeah. Please introduce yourself and then ask the question.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Oshita and I'm studying in CMI MSc Data Science first year. So,
Yes,
how did you relate a vector of words with like dimension? Like if you have 20 words, then uh, how did you relate that to dimension and how did you reduce the dimension to 2?
Okay, so it is based on that architecture, that whatever that architecture you are taking. So 20 is, I just given one example. Suppose if you have a sentence, a training data that has 20 distinct words, then if you do for each word, if you do a hot encoding means 20 words, 20 vectors. So if it is a first word in the sentence, then you put that first position of a vector 1, other is 0. Like whatever I have seen in that king, or let's show me that example. Let me show that example. Yes. So king is the first word in that king, brave man. So king is 1, others are, that first position is 1, others are 0. Brave is the second word in my scanning. So I have 6, total vectors is 6. So vector size, total words, distinct words are 6. So vector size is 6. Second word in my scanning list is 1. So I made that position. That second position is 1 and others are 0. Similarly, man is the third word in that. So third position of this vector is 1, others are 0. So that is the initial training data, creating the training data. Now, suppose you are using Ramayana. You know that in any machine learning example or NLP, to build such type of model, that one paragraph or one word or few sentences is nothing. Just for that understanding that model, you need a lot of data. So if you consider Ramayana, then how many words will be there? Distinct word, maybe few lakh. So initial training data size is in terms of few lakhs, that size of that each word. Now you create your model in such a way that it reduced to 5 or 20 or 10. So if you look at that word-to-vec architecture, this is a neural network architecture, neural network representation of logistic regression, basically. So they use that how we can solve a logistic regression problem is the neural network. The same model more or less used in that word-to-vec model. So in that case, you choose that your output, say hidden layer dimension and output vector dimension in such a way that it becomes, the end result is a, say 20 or 30 or whatever maybe, whatever you desire.
So similar words are clustered in like one group.
Yeah, the training is, we train that model in such a way that similar words, that similar, how we are saying the similar words means that window size. We have to define one window size. Here we have defined, given that example, if window size is 2, so if that word is the training data is king, your target data will be brave along with the king. King is obviously there and brave also. So output vector of king and brave will be very similar. You design that model in such a way that output vector of king and brave are similar because it comes under same window. For example, here, the fox, the brown jumps. So it should come that in the new wording system, the new vector, the coordinates of the fox, jumps, and browns. If you consider 5, then it should come close, very close. The coordinate system in such a way that training will be in such a way so that these words have that very close coordinates, or they will embed in a very some place, neighborhood place, basically.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Excuse me, sir. This is Chandrashish from MSc Data Science first year.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to ask, like, when you talk about similarity of words, it's very subjective because
Right.
let's say two words which are like come left, so it's like they are opposite of each other. But when someone asks me, where are you coming from? I came from home. I left from home. Both are implying the same thing.
Right.
So is it like the embeddings, the neighborhood is decided on uh, on a certain constraint as per the aspect of a problem, like as to what you're trying to do?
Yes. So
Is it not generalized?
yeah. So it is that is I'm saying that context is very important. So the context is defined in two ways. What is the training data? So if you build something based on the Ramayana, and if you try to find out that similarity between Jesus and Bible, you will not be able to find. Right? Because we have not trained. In the opposite also. So, and also so context is defined by two ways. One is that the training data, and second is that window. Now, for example, say Ram and some other say Shiva. Okay. Now, if you scan through the Ramayana, how many times they came together in a window, say of such 10? And how many times Ram and Sita, that word occurs in the window? So if Ram and Sita occurs more, then they should come closer in that embedded system. Then the distance between Ram and Sita and Ram and Shiva, the distance between Ram and Sita will be less, should be less than distance between Ram and Shiva.
Okay, sir. So if we are making such a kind of database where we are seeing the relations, I mean, that
Yeah.
Ram Sita is more high, has more frequency of occurring together than Ram and Shiva. So
Yes.
like that, for each and every combination, we are making it.
So each and every combination. So you can just imagine. So if you have a entire Ramayana, and if you take the 10 window system, then how many training data and the corresponding target vectors will be there? So for each word, there will be say around another 9 words.
Okay.
So training for, so in the opposite way, so 10 training data, one target video, a target vector. So 10 training vector corresponding one target vector. And it will be, if you scan through that one by one of this entire Raman, then how many training data, set of training data sets and the target vectors will have. And another thing, the word embedding, it doesn't give that exact meaning of the two words. For example, uh, let me show you an example, then you will understand. So it is not that two words are coming together. That means that doesn't imply that these two words have same meaning. I'm just repeating one. In that word embedding system, if two words are coming together, that doesn't mean that both have the same meaning. It only means that they occurred together in many times in that context. So in that drug development, the clinical trial example, I have some medicine. So I have said we have 20,000 reports of say 20,000 medicine. For each, after taking that medicine, the doctor is reporting that suffering from headache, somebody is written suffering from pain in head. Now, with the context of that medicine name, these words are coming close. There might be some other words also, but they are not. It doesn't mean that two words are coming together. It doesn't mean that it is they both have similar meaning. Meaning may be different, may be opposite. Because if you check that Ram and Shiva, how many times it occurs? It may be Ram and Ravan. That words combination occurred. The frequency of these two combinations may be higher. It doesn't mean that Ram and Ravan are very similar compared to Ram and Shiva. It is just saying that in this context, which words are coming together. Okay, let me check one thing.
So, Mushanta, I have a question. So when you are doing recommendation, so
Yeah.
are you solving this problem as a more like a classification, like K-class classification kind of problem, or are you solving it as a more like a semi-supervised and clustering kind of problems? Like,
Okay, so for the document clustering, where we have suppose that GSK have around 23,000 documents, and each document has around 2 to 3,000 pages. Now their problem is that they have to create one template for that each subsection. Now it is a clustering problem. So suppose I'm just taking that adverse event subsection. They have standard is that 6 to 7 paragraphs. Now the 6 to 7 paragraphs are written in different ways to different report. So each adverse event, we have 20,000 reports. So 20,000 report has one section called adverse event, and each section has say 7 paragraphs, or maybe some cases it is a 5 paragraphs. So first, what we are trying to do, we are just doing some k-mean clustering and trying to find out that what are the paragraphs are most common.
Okay.
So most common, so for example, if that is one of the reason for using cosine similarity instead of Euclidean distance. Cosine similarity has bounded, but
Mhm.
Euclidean distance is not bounded.
Not
So I cannot put any threshold on Euclidean distance. But in cosine similarities, suppose it is a dissimilarity. Suppose I'm keeping the threshold is 0.3. So I'm considering whatever the paragraphs are comes under 0.3 similarity in that group. I'm creating one group, and almost all paragraphs are very similar.
Hmm.
Now, in that group, which paragraphs? Now I have 20,000 paragraphs. Okay, so from that, so total how many paragraphs are there? 20,000 report and 7 paragraphs. So 20,000 into 7 paragraphs was my input. Now I have say 5 cluster or 6 cluster or 10 cluster. So within the 10 cluster, I have got one cluster which is say first paragraph from the each 20,000. Now in the 20,000 paragraph in that first cluster, there might be 200 cluster, 200 paragraphs that is exactly equal. So in that case, we say that this is your preferred template for this because you have used many times, the most of the time use this paragraph. Okay. So that becomes the template. So it is K-means clustering. Now they have that, say medical writers, they have that privilege. Okay, this is most awkward, but I have written that 5 years back, all that reports. Nowadays, I want to change little bit. So they've made the changes. Now, if the changes happen, now it becomes a classification problem. Now I know the target. Now when that new somebody has tried to write a new report, they just reduced to that somebody started the report writing on that adverse event. The templates comes automatically. Now you just feel that if you want to change anything on the template or not.
Okay.
And for this is for the document clustering. Or for the job matching recommendation, it is just similarity. My target is fixed, job description and their coordinates. And input is my job seekers, the participants. They have that reason. Now I'm just trying to match one by one and finding the similarity, which is that most similar, his rank is 1. Second similar, rank is 2. Third similar, rank is 3. But there is many problem in this system. It is not just only that paragraph matching or that JD matching and that resume matching, because many times in the job description, company gives an overview of the about the company, and the company says that like suppose the job in the TCS insurance, but in that company description they have written many things about that IT, and somebody has that IT. So somebody has the background from the IT, so it will find some positive matching, the good matching with the job description. So we need to find out that this paragraph, so there is another classification problem in between before that matching. So when I'm comparing one paragraph or one sentence with that resume, I'm just checking this paragraph is defining a skill or it is just one garbage paragraph. So I have another classification problem in between. So where I have annotated. So for example, in this JD, let me show you if you can. I think. Okay, let me close first. This it is hanged almost. So if you look at this job description, this is one standard job description I've just taken from the internet. So Capgemini Technology India Limited, then there is a description of this Capgemini. So first thing is that I have to annotate that this part is defining skills or not. If it doesn't define skills, it is only for that giving the description of the Capgemini that may be applicable for that company, but not for that competency matching.
Hmm.
It might be useful for aspiration matching, whether if you want to work for this type of company or not. But this is not should not be used for that aspiration competency matching. Competency matching will be based on only for the skills and the verticals.
So in both cases, mostly you are using, that means sort of a like, similarity matrix kind of thing, or similarity.
Yeah, similarity matrix basically. The hierarchical
kind of approach. So,
yeah.
huh.
Given that hierarchical
Yeah,
class studying, it is nothing but the similarity matching, right?
Correct. So you're using mostly unsupervised learning kind of approach, but wherever required, you're using classification or supervised learning, but mostly you're taking an unsupervised learning kind of
Yes.
approach.
Yeah. So along with that similarity matching,
Mhm.
what we have done, so I've just taken each word sentence and I have annotated that this sentence defines skills. This sentence defines skill. This
Correct.
sentence doesn't define skill. So 0, 1 target vector. So then I build it. We are trying to build one classifier that has two target. One is that this sentence defines skill or not. Yes or no.
Okay, so basically
So next time
classification,
when
that means coming in the between, as a part of
in between, yeah,
and then
or
once
filtering basically,
or filtering, yeah,
filtering, yeah.
to identify the part of the description which match the skill set, and once you get you're sure that okay, this part of the text actually talking about the skill set, that time you're using similarity matching or similarity matrix to identify whether which job is more closest to the skill set.
Right.
Okay.
No, so there is a few more complexity. For example, you have participated in the quizzes.
Mhm. I think Mosam is there. Hello. Hello. Let me just. Hello.
Critical part is connection work. Now at the end it calmed out.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you there, Mosunda?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, last few minutes, I think you dropped off. I mean, some reason, think connection. So you are trying to close
Maybe.
yeah. So if you,
so
you are saying some further few complexities are there.
Yeah, it is not complexity, just enhancement. I'm just want to mention before closing that suppose two-person has taken one quiz on the Python. Somebody has scored 90%, somebody has scored 45%. So now both have that skill in the Python, and job description also requirements in the Python. Now who has scored 90%? He should give more advantage over that next candidate.
So those
that
kind
is
of
also taken care. Yeah.
Those kind of fine tuning you have done as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But main thing is that basically that finding the skills from the job description and finding that skills from that resume and
then matching them.
And in between we have that cloud of the skills and the hierarchy of the skills.
Okay. Any other questions, comment, or suggestions? If not, then I'll say thank you very much, Moshunda, for your nice presentation. And students already attending your classes. So also, if they have further questions, they can always email you. And thank you all for attending the seminar. And with that, I will say the session is closed now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Shoris. Thank CMI. Thanks, sir, for inviting me.
Thank you. Yeah, Rajipta, you want to say something?
That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Thanks.